Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Purpose Driven, Vision Inspired. I'm your host, Richard Cerna, the performance strategist, and today we are diving into a subject that lies at the heart of personal and professional growth. That is lifelong learning, and I surely hope it is one that will resonate deeply with you. I'd like to start off by just giving a general overview of where we want to go today in this episode, and starting off by really sharing that lifelong learning it isn't just about acquiring new knowledge, right? It's about staying curious, open, and willing to evolve as we navigate the ever-changing landscape of life. Whether you're in the early stages of your career or decades into your personal journey, the desire to learn, to grow, it's really something that can continually renew us. So today, my goal is that we will all be able to reflect on how learning can shape us, the role of curiosity, and the ways we can intentionally foster that growth. So my hope is today that we'll be able to reflect on how learning can shape us, the role of curiosity, and the ways we can intentionally foster that growth. So here we go. The essence of lifelong learning is about more than knowledge, my friends. It's about transformation. I've come to realize that as it relates to personal reflection, learning doesn't end when we leave formal education. No, it doesn't. It's a mindset, a way of engaging with the world. I remember early in my own career believing that if I just acquired enough knowledge, success would follow. But what I realized over time, oh boy, did I learn that success isn't just about knowledge. It's about adapting, staying curious, and being open to change. Or, as I like to say it, developing wisdom through meaningful experiences. You can't have wisdom without experience, and they have to be meaningful. All of your experiences. So, they say that curiosity killed the cat. But when it comes to the power of curiosity, it certainly lives at the core of lifelong learning when you think about it. It's that quiet whisper inside us that asks, what if? Why? Or how could this be different? You know, Curiosity, it's what pushes us to explore, to ask questions, and to seek out new ideas even when we think we've mastered something. Remember, when you think you've mastered something, it's very important to remain humble because when we become knowledgeable, I really believe that we learn how much we do not know. And as a common practice, I've made it a goal to read for at least 10 minutes every day. I learned from a great mentor of mine that ever since he was, I believe, 12 years old, he's read every night before he goes to bed. And that's impressive because the dude's old. Well, he's not really old, but I'd just like to give him a hard time. But it's important that we stay curious amidst the routine. Curiosity, it keeps life and work from becoming stagnant. And you've heard us say in episodes before, I should say, anything that becomes stagnant, it dies. So when it comes to recognizing routines, life can easily fall into routines where the daily grind, it consumes our thoughts and our actions, our devices, social media, really get us going left and right. And when we think we're learning, we're really just gaining useless information that leads us further from where we are designed to be. That is to live in our purpose every day. And when that happens, We get comfortable in what we know, what we think we know. And, the edges of curiosity, they start to dull. It's kind of like a rock or boulder that falls into a river, a running river. You know, when it first falls into water, it's probably all rigid, but after years and years and years and years of constant flow, those edges become dull. And when we sit still, that's eventually what happens to us. But curiosity, getting back to curiosity, it is what keeps our mind agile. But getting back to curiosity, it's what keeps our minds agile. It's what allows us to see the world with fresh eyes. I have found that stepping outside of what's comfortable, it's not only critical, it's essential to maintaining curiosity. Whether it's learning a new skill, reading about a subject you know nothing about, or simply having a conversation with somebody whose perspective is different from yours. These small acts can reignite that sense of wonder. And I know for me personally, I love engaging people from all walks of life, regardless of how old they are, what side of the world they've come from. I want to understand. It's important for me to understand so that I can better articulate, so that I can experience things in this world that I may have never heard or seen or ever realized were there had I not had the courage to ask. So, in all of this curiosity talk, continuous learning, and lifelong learning, I'd like for you to just reflect, because I know I reflect every night. And I'd like to challenge you, if you're listening out there, to ask yourself, when was the last time you did something for the first time? Just just think about that for a moment. When was the last time that you pushed yourself to explore a topic, a skill, or an idea that was unfamiliar? Those moments of discomfort are often where the most profound learnings happen. Another personal story of mine is that in April of 2021, I decided to push myself. I had become stagnant. I had stopped learning. And for those of you that don't know, man, I've been learning my whole life, whether it was learning the game of baseball, football, any other sport, or whether it was a trade. I became a professional home inspector. I also became a general lines life insurance and property and casualty insurance agent. I became a trainer. I became a coach. I became a product manager, a program manager. I've learned so many different things in my life and I stayed curious, but there came a point in my life where I became stagnant and I started to lose hope. But in April of 2021, I embarked on a crucible that reignited my curiosity, my passion, my fire. It reignited the need to get back to lifelong learning. And I did that for purpose. I had lost my purpose. I had lost my way. And I know there's several of you out there right now that have lost your way. So come back to, when was the last time you did something for the first time? When was the last time that you pushed yourself beyond your self-imposed limitations? Get back to lifelong learning. It may seem tough, but boy, is it ever rewarding once you get to the other side. So I want to talk a little bit about evolving through learning. Learning, it helps us grow, right? I just used the word evolve, but also it helps us adapt to the world around us. If you just think about the way that we used to work before COVID, heck, the way we used to work in the manufacturing or the industrial age, we're no longer in the industrial age. We're in the information age. And that is a scary thing, especially when you think of artificial intelligence, when you think of machine learning, and you think about the automation that's coming from it in the jobs that are being eliminated. Machines are learning faster than ever before. and it's getting really uncomfortable. But I urge you, take the knowledge that you've gained in your experience, understanding what's been automated, what's being taken over by artificial intelligence. These are skills that you've acquired over years, but learning new skills will keep you ahead of the game, will make you that subject matter expert that can teach AI. You'll be highly sought out because you have value. There's one thing that artificial intelligence cannot replace. That's the human element. And unless you become stagnant, you will always remain relevant. So go out and learn. Go out and commit yourself to a life of excellence. I found that the more that I learn, the more I grow, not just professionally, but personally. We as people, we evolve when we remain open to learning because it pushes us to challenge our own assumptions and perspectives. I just use the words self-imposed limitations, and we can get caught up in that self-negative talk so quickly. All we have to do is take one step forward, embrace courage, learn, grow, evolve, see how valuable you are, connect to your purpose, and identify new ways on how you can apply that purpose. When it comes to adapting in this changing world, I just shared that the world is changing faster than ever before, right? Spanning technology, industries, even our understanding of human behavior is evolving. How much has it changed post-COVID? What I will say is those that stay curious and adapt, they'll find themselves not just surviving, but thriving. These are shifts that we can excel through, that we can come out ahead in. 100 years ago, we lived in a time that was called the Roaring Twenties. I believe we're back in the Roaring Twenties. There's opportunity for us. We just have to pick up new skills. We have to learn. We have to embrace change. Is it happening faster? Yes. But how fast are you scrolling through these different videos on TikTok or Facebook or YouTube or Instagram? When was the last time you took a look at your screen time and looked at the different apps and how much time you spend per day? Just think about taking a tenth of that time. I guarantee you so many people have at least 7 hours. I think that's the actual average. I was talking to another brother in the same society that I am in, the Man of War Society, that was looking at a study on how much time the average human spends on smart devices. And I think it's somewhere around 7 hours. I could be wrong, but it's astonishing. A lot of people don't realize what they can do with that time. And I just called out a tenth. Can you imagine? What is it? That's 420 minutes, something like that. 7 hours. Take a tenth, 42 minutes. What could you learn in 42 minutes? You could learn a lot, especially if you do it every day. So just remember, learning new skills or approaches isn't just a professional requirement. It's how we continue to remain relevant and engaged. Time can pass us by, and if we are no longer relevant, people will pass us by and they won't think a second about you in passing. I've been there. Heck, I believe we've all been there. But how do you get back on that information highway? Pick up some useful information, some valuable information, and grab hold of it, learn it, apply it, gain those meaningful experiences, and become more than relevant. Thrive. So one of the lessons, the greatest lessons actually, that I've learned in my own journey is that mistakes are some of the best teachers. We often fear failure, but it's in those moments of failure that we learn the most. I've said it, If you get knocked off your horse, get back up, dust off, get back on the horse, and get back after it. The only time we should ever give up is when our heart takes its last beat, when our lungs take their last breath, when we cease to exist. It's in times when things didn't go as planned that we're forced to adapt, to reframe, and to grow. Just think about it. When was the last time that you were asked to do something at work that you'd never done before? And so you dove headfirst into it, and it was nerve-wracking, right? It drove you nuts. But at the end, when you finished and you figured it out, boy, did you feel much better after overcoming that challenge. And I guarantee you one thing, it stuck with you. You remembered how to do it. You didn't have to go back to some manual to figure it back out because you were in the hot seat, or as I like to say, out of the frying pan and into the fire. Yeah. So I want to talk about some practical steps for cultivating lifelong learning. Why? Because we need to make learning intentional and we need to make it an ongoing practice. So stay curious, my friends. Curiosity is the foundation of lifelong learning. We have to ask more questions. You've got to approach situations with an open mind and a willingness to explore. You see, curiosity isn't something that we either have or don't. It's something that we can nurture. You've got to challenge yourself. You've got to be intentional about seeking out experiences that challenge you. Take a course on, a subject that interests you, or listen to a podcast on a new topic. Heck, listen to Purpose Driven, Vision Inspired, or read a book outside your usual genre. Growth happens when we push beyond what's comfortable. I can't stress it enough. And then once you do that, reflect on what you learn. After you've learned something new, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself, how does this new knowledge change the way that you see things? How can you apply it in your life? Reflection is where learning turns into wisdom. I mentioned that earlier. The application of knowledge into your life turns into wisdom. And that's where you become a valuable resource for anybody. And lastly, stay humble. The last time I thought I knew it all, I ended up in the gutter. And I'm sure many of you have done the same. Just remember that most effective learners are those who approach knowledge with humility. There's always more to learn. And the more we understand, the more we realize how much we just don't know. So embrace it. Embrace that sense of wonder and awe. My master's thesis was focused on humility and leadership. And there could be two perspectives on humility. I chose to look at humility from a perspective of believing that there's more to learn, that we don't know all the answers. And we can live boldly, yet remain humble. And we can exercise humility knowing that we don't know all the answers. But when we surround ourselves with great people that are talented and strong in areas that we aren't, that humility can lead to something great. So I've been talking your ear off for quite some time now. And before we close out, I'd like to summarize a few key points and note that lifelong learning isn't about accumulating facts or degrees. It's about staying curious, being open to new ideas, and allowing ourselves to evolve. It's a journey that never ends, but that continually shapes who we are and how we navigate the world. So my challenge to you today is very simple. Stay curious. Whether it's picking up a new skill, exploring a passion you've put on hold, or simply asking more questions. Remember that every day is an opportunity to learn and grow. There's no endpoint, no destination, just the ongoing journey of becoming a more curious, engaged, and fulfilled version of yourself. I know when I exercise gratitude in the morning that I become more curious because I'm ever grateful for a new day. I'm forever grateful for my children who are adults now. I'm forever grateful to my mentors, my wife, my family. But in order for me to be a protector, I need to continue engaging. I need to continue learning. I need to continue preparing so that I can become the best version of myself. So I want to thank you for joining me today on this episode of Purpose Driven Vision Inspired. If you found today's conversation meaningful, well, I encourage you to share it with someone who might need a reminder to stay curious and keep learning. And as always, I'd love to hear how you are embracing lifelong learning in your own life. You can find me at theperformance_strategist on Instagram, or you can go to my website, questperformancellc.com, or you can just find me on Facebook, Richard Cerna. I'd love to chat. I'd love to hear your stories. I'd love to hear how you're learning. So until next time, stay curious, stay open, live a life of arete, and keep evolving.